Alright, let's go over the first question. A local veterinarian clinic keeps a record of average weight for the dogs that they treat. So they keep the average weight of the dogs maintained by breed. The formula for finding the average weight for a specific breed is A equals T over N. So that's a very important formula we have to remember. A equals T over N, where T is the total weight of the last N dog's weight. So T is the total weight, and this is the number of dogs. Now we are given here, find the number of dogs weighed. So we want to find N equals how much. If the average weight is 62, we are given that A, the average weight, is 62, and the total weight for the last N dogs is 868 pounds. So this is 868 pounds, the total weight of the N dogs. So here we have a 62 equals 868 divided by N. So I can put a 1 under 62, it's not going to change the number, and I can cross multiply. So that's what we call cross multiply. So now I have 62N equals 868 times 1, which means 868. It's not going to change. Let's divide both sides by 62. Therefore, N equals 86 by 62 is 1, and the remainder is 24. 248 divided by 62. So let's try 4. 248. 4 times 2, 8, and 4 times 6, 24. So this would be N, the number of dogs. N equals 14. So all it takes is divide 868 divided by 62. You get 86 divided by 62 is 1, and that would be 62. Subtract, you get 4. 8 minus 6 is 2. Bring down the 8. 248 divided by 62 is 4. 4 times 2, 8, and 4 times 6, 24. So that would be the final answer here. N equals 214. Total number, or total number of dogs. Okay, that's what we wanted to find. We wanted to find N. Alright, let's try the next number, which is solve for H in the given equation. So we want to isolate H. We want to move the 70 to the right side and divide by -5. So let's start by subtracting 7t from both sides. This is f minus 7t equal, now 7t and 7t and 7t, because the sum is 0, they will cancel. So we end up with -5h on the left side. Since we want to isolate h, we need to divide both sides by -5. Therefore, dividing both sides by -5 will be the final answer. So here the negative and the negative cancel, and the 5 and the 5 cancel. So h would be f minus 7t over -5. We can also bring the minus sign to the top, and this becomes minus f plus 7t, or 7t minus f over 5. So this is correct, and this is correct. Either one is correct. And again, all what we did here, because we want to isolate h, we just subtract first 7t from both sides. That way the 7t will cancel. And then we end up with f minus 7t equals -5h. Now we don't want -5h, we want h by itself. So that's why we need to divide both sides by -5. That's what we did here. Dividing this side by -5, it will cancel the -5, and we end up with h by itself. On this side, you divide both sides by -5. Now this -5, again, you can either leave the answer like that, or you can move the -5 to the numerator and distribute. So this becomes -f, and this becomes plus 7t. negative f plus 7t over 5. Let's look at the number 3. We want to solve for q in the given equation. So we want this q, we want to isolate this q. Okay, the first thing I'd like to do is add 17 to both sides. So that would be r plus 17 equals 3 times p plus q. Now I still want q by itself, so let's go ahead and distribute this 3. So this would be 3p plus 3q. So all I did, I multiplied 3 by p and then by q. Since I want q, let's move this 3p to the left side, subtract 3p from both sides. Therefore, r plus 17 minus 3p equals 3q. Again, I don't want 3q, I want q by itself. So let's divide everything by 3 here. And that would be the final answer. So q equals r plus 17 minus 3p over 3. And that would be the final answer. One can also split the fraction here. So you end up with r over 3 plus 17 over 3 minus 3p over 3 would be just p. But this is still good and this is good. So either one is correct. Convert 0.12 to percent. So when we go from decimal notation to percent notation, we need to multiply by 100%. And therefore the answer would be 12%. So remember, to go from decimal notation to percent notation, you need to multiply by 100%. 0.12 times 100 will move the decimal 2 digits to the right when you multiply by 100, and therefore the answer is 12%. Convert 3.8% to decimal notation. Now we have to divide by 100%. So 3.8% divided by 100%. So that would be 0.038. That would be the decimal notation. You can also change 3.8% by multiplying it by 1 over 100. So either way should be fine. So when you change from a percent notation to a decimal notation, you divide by 100. When you change from decimal notation to percent notation, you multiply by 100. Either way should be fine. So this is also the same. 3.8% times 100 will give me 0.038. So dividing by 100 will move the decimal 2 digits to the left. Convert 3 over 8 to decimal. Let's go ahead and divide 3 divided by 8. Since 3 has a decimal here and 3 is less than 8, we're going to move the decimal up here and then add a 0. 30 divided by 8 is 3. 3 times 8, 24. And the remainder is 6. Add a 0. 60 divided by 8. 7 times 8, 56. Subtract, that's a 4. Add a 0. 40 divided by 8 is 5. 5 times 8, 40. Remainder is 0. So the answer is 0.375. So 3 over 8 is 0.375 in decimal notation. Okay, so all we did, we divided 3 divided by 8 and we end up with 0.375. Remember, the 3 has a decimal that comes always after the 3 is the decimal. So since 3 is less than 8, we move the decimal up here, we add a 0. 30 divided by 8 is 3 times. 3 times 8, 24. Subtract. 30 minus 24 is 6. Add a 0. 60 divided by 8 is 7. 7 times 8, 56. 60 minus 56 is 4. Add a 0. 40 divided by 8 is 5. 5 times 8, 40, and the remainder is 0. Marcus has decided to take out a signature loan for $4,500. After a year, he decides to pay off the loan, which includes 7% interest on the amount borrowed. How much will he pay back? So he decides to pay off the loan, which includes 7% interest on the amount borrowed. So we have to find first 7% of 4,500, which is equal to 0.07. Remember, when we go from percent to decimal, we divide by 100, times 4,500. So this would be 0, 0, 7 times 5, 35, 7 times 4, 28, 28 and 3, 31. Since we have two decimals, we're going to put a 0 here and cancel those. So we have to pay 315 in interest. So if you want to pay off the loan, he has to pay 4,500 plus 315, which is 4,815. That would be the final answer. Okay, so he will have to pay 7% of 4,500, which is 315, and then the principal, which is 4,500. If you add 4,500 plus 315, you will end up with $4,815. The construction of a new elementary school is expected to cost $224 million. Upon completion, the construction company notified the county that the cost was only $210 million. So they saved $14 million. Okay? 224 minus 210 is $14 million. This is how much they saved. The actual cost was less than the projected cost by $14 million. By what percent will the real cost be less than the original estimate? So the percent would be the change in cost, which is 14, divided by the estimated cost, which is 224. And if you divide 14 by 224, you will end up with a decimal notation number, and then you multiply by 100 to get the percent. So 14 divided by 224 equals 0.0625. This is the decimal notation. To change it to percent notation, you multiply by 100 and move the decimal 2 digits to the right, and this would be 6.25%. And that's how we find the percent. Will the real cost be less than the original estimate? So that would be what percent will the real cost be less than the original estimate? It will be 6.25% less than the original estimate. The construction of a new local post office is expected to cost $107 million. So this is the expected cost, $107 million. Before completion, the construction company notified the city that the cost would be $15 million more. So it would be $15 million more than the expected or the original estimate. By what percent will the real cost exceed the original estimate? So the percent would be the change in cost again, which is 15 million, divided by 107 times 100%. So we always divide the change in the cost, which is 15 in this case, divided by 107, which is the original estimate. We end up with 0.14, and that rounded, if you multiply by 100%, you will end up with 14%, and of course we have rounded to the nearest whole number. So 15 divided by 107 times 100% is 14%. And this would be the how much the real cost exceeded the original estimate in percentage. While reading, Sarah noticed that the page numbers on two consecutive even pages of a book have a sum of 246. So if the first page is x, the second consecutive even would be x plus 2. So when we talk about consecutive even pages, that means we're increasing by 2. if the first one is x, the next consecutive even page would be x plus 2. And she noticed that the sum is 246. So x plus x is 2x plus 2 equals 246. Let's go ahead and solve for x. Subtract 2 from both sides. We get 2x equals 244. Divide both sides by 2 to solve for x, and that x becomes 244 divided by 2 is 122, and the next consecutive page would be 124. Again, if you add these two, you get 6, 4, 246, which is the sum of the two consecutive even numbers. The perimeter of a triangular garden is 103 feet. So perimeter, this is a triangular garden. The sum of this side plus this side plus this side is 103. That's the perimeter, the sum of the three sides. Now the second side of the garden is twice as long as the first. So the second side is 2x, assuming that x is the length of the first side. So let's assume this is x, the length of the first side. The second side is 2x. It's twice this as long as the first side. The third side, so this is 2x. Let's assume this is 2x. And the third side is 5 feet less than 3 times as long as the first side. So 3 times as long as the first side, less by 5. What are the lengths of the sides of the garden? We know that the sum of x plus 2x plus 3x minus 5 is equal to the perimeter, which is 103. So if you add the x variables, you get 1 plus 2, 3 plus 3, 6x minus 5 equals 103. Let's isolate x. Add 5 to both sides. You get 6x equals 108. Now we want x by itself. So if you get x by itself, you need to divide both sides by 6. And therefore 10 by 6 is 1, remainder is 4, 48 by 6 is 8. So the first side is x would be 18, and this is in feet. The second one would be twice 18, which is 36. Again, that's going to be in feet. The third side would be 3 times 18 minus 5. 3 times 18 is 54. And minus 5 would be 49. So that would be the side number 3, 49 feet. Let's see if the sum is 103. So 49 plus 36 plus 18. This is 14. 14 and 9, 23. 3 carry 2. 6 and 3, 9. 9 and 1, 10. And the sum of the three sides is 103. David's investment in a particular stock grew 17% to 812. How much did he invest? So it grew 17% and now it is 812. So if the original investment is x, we're going to add 17% of x to it, and the answer would be 812. So this is my original investment. It grew 17%, so 17% of x, this is how much it grew, and the sum should be 812. So 1x plus 17% is 0.17x equals 812. This implies 1 plus 0.17 is 1.17x equals 812. So by adding the x's, we're going to add 1 plus 0.17 and we get 812. Now finally, to solve for x, we have to divide both sides by 1.17, and this implies x would be 812 divided by 1.17, and that would be 694 rounded to the nearest whole number. So if you round this number to the nearest whole number, the original investment is x equals 694. So again, we can't do 17% of 812. 17% should be applied to the original investment, which is x. We don't know what the original investment. So whatever we had invested was x. We add to it 17% of x, which is how much the stock has grew, and the sum will give me 812. And therefore, in this case, we have x is 694. Now 0.17 per x would be 812 minus 694. So that would be 811. This is how much the stock has grew, $118. And you add 118 to 694, and you end up with 812. So this is how much the stock has grew, and this is the original investment, which is 694. Given the statement below, translate to an inequality, use the variable n. So make sure to use the variable n. The cost of repairs will be at most 240. At most means less than or equal 240. So the maximum is 240 or less, right? So the equal means the maximum is going to be 240 or less. That's what it says, will be at most. So the value of n will be at most 240. That means less than or equal. Given the statement below, translate to an inequality, use the variable n. The price of a boat will not exceed 224,000. Again, it will be 224,000 or less. It will not exceed this value. So again, less than or equal. The price of a boat will not exceed. So the price n will be less than or equal to 224. If this question was the price of the boat will be at least, if the question was at least 224,000, then this can be written as n should be greater than or equal to 224,000. At least means the number or more, the given number, which is 224,000 or more. At most is the number or less. Solve the inequality, write the answer in set builder notation. So to solve this inequality, all we need to do, subtract 1/3 from both sides. So x would be less than or equal to 5/9 minus 1/3. Notice that the lowest common denominator is 9. 9 is a multiple of itself. 9 is a multiple of 3. So let's go ahead, multiply here 3/3 to change the denominator to 9. So now we have both denominators 9. So x would be less than or equal to 5/9 minus 3/9. And therefore x would be less than or equal to 2/9. Now that we have the same denominator, we just subtract the numerator. Then graph the solution and write this in set builder notation. So this is set builder notation. X such that x less than or equal to 2/9. To graph this, we just have to draw the real number line. This is 0, 2/9 somewhere here, less than or equal. So we can make a square bracket all the way to minus infinity, or we can make a full circle. So either way should be, this is 0, and we can make a full circle and then go all the way to minus infinity. Solve the inequality, write the answer in set builder notation, then graph the solution. So here we have negative 3x greater than or equal to 2/5. We need to divide both sides by negative 3. But when you divide by a negative number, you must flip the symbol. So it becomes like that. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 will cancel. X is less than or equal. So every time you divide or multiply an inequality by a negative number, you must flip the symbol. So that was greater than or equal. Now it is less than or equal. And now we have 2/5 divided by negative 3. This is x less than or equal. When we divide, we multiply and flip the second one. So this would be 2/5 times 1 over negative 3. And the final answer would be x less than or equal, multiply straight across, negative 2 over 15. That would be the final answer. In set builder notation, you would write this as x such that x less than negative 2 over 15. And to graph this, you just have the 0. Negative 215 is somewhere here. It is less than or equal. So x is less than or equal. So you can either draw a square bracket and bold the left hand side up to minus infinity, or you can make a full circle. Either way is correct. And then you can go all the way to minus infinity as a solution. Solve the inequality. Now in this case we have an x here and x here. So let's move this x to the left hand side, add 2x to both sides. And let's move the 9 to the right side, subtract 9 from both sides. So that's what we call separate variables. All we do, we are separating variables. We are moving the x to the left side, we're moving the numbers to the right side. 9 minus 9 is 0. Negative 6x plus 2x, their opposite sign, we subtract negative 4x. Negative because negative 6x is more negative than 2x. Less than or equal. These two will cancel. 3 minus 9 is negative 6. Alright, one more step. We're dividing by a negative number. We flip the symbol. We're dividing by a negative number. So when you divide by a negative number, you flip the symbol, remember. And I had to divide by negative 4 here. So x would be greater than or equal. Negative 6 over 4, the negative will cancel. 6 over 4 is 3/2. 6 by 2 is 3, and 4 by 2 is 2. So to write this in an set builder notation, we have to go x such that x greater than or equal to 3/2. To graph this on the real number line, this is 0. 3/2 is 1.5, somewhere here. It's greater than, we can make a square bracket, go to the right, all the way to plus infinity, and this is 3/2. Or we can make a full circle like this, solid circle, and highlight the right side up to plus infinity, and this is 3/2. So either one of these is the correct graphing for the inequality, for the solution. To be accepted in North University, a student's score on the entrance exam. So this is the student's score, is very important. Student score on the entrance exam plus 100 times the high school GPA must be at least greater than or equal to 400. Chris's high school GPA was 3.2. So we're given the high school GPA here. What must the score on the entrance exam, let's call it X, be in order to be accepted? So remember, student score X plus 100 times the GPA. 100, what's the GPA? 3.2. At least means greater than or equal to 400. So to be accepted, he has to have his student score at the entrance exam, which we don't know in this case, it is X, plus 100 times the GPA. The GPA is 3.2, so 100 times 3.2 must be at least 400, greater than or equal to 400. At least means greater than or equal. So 100 times 3.2 is 320. So X plus 320 is greater than or equal to 400. Subtract 320 from both sides, we get X greater than or equal 400 minus 320 is 80. So 100 times 3.2 is 320, greater than or equal to 400. So now we subtract 320 from both sides, and we get that X must be at least 80. So the entrance exam the score on the entrance exam in order to be accepted into North University must be at least 80. So 80 or more. Okay? And we found this inequality because we were given student score on the entrance exam, that is X, plus 100 times the GPA, 100 times 3.2, must be at least greater than or equal to 400. This is the 400. So now to solve for X, we multiply 100 times 3.2, that's 320. Subtract 320 from both sides, we end up with X greater than or equal to 80, which is the entrance score. Must be 80 or more. The summer weather is predicted to be warmer than average when the temperature on a certain date is higher than 36 degrees centigrade or Celsius. The formula between Fahrenheit and Celsius is F equals 9 over 5 C plus 32. Now we're given that the Celsius is 36. Let's substitute C equals 36. So 9 over 5 times 36 plus 32. Let's see how much is the Fahrenheit. So here, if you want to multiply 9 times 36, that would be 9 times 6, 54, carry 5, 9 times 3, 27, 27, and 5, 32. So you multiply straight across, again 9 times 6, 54, 9 times 3, 27, 27, and 5, 32, divided by 5, plus 32. Now let's change 32 to a denominator 5, multiply up and down by 5. So denominator is 5, 5 times 2, 10, 5 times 3, 15, and 1, 16. So now that we have the same denominator, we can add the numerator. 324 plus 160 is 484 over 5. See, now we have fractions with the same denominator. We can add the numerator. So 324 plus 100 is 424. 424 plus 60 is 484. Divide by 5. 48 divided by 5 is 9. 9 times 5, 45. Remainder is 3. 34 divided by 5. 34 divided by 5 is 6. 6 times 5, 30. And the remainder is 4. Add a 0. 40 divided by 5 is 8. So you can also do the division like this. 484 divided by 5. 48 by 5 is 9. 9 times 5, 45. Remainder is 3. Bring down the 4. 34 divided by 5 is 6. 6 times 5, 30. Remainder is 4. Add a decimal. Add a 0. 40 divided by 5 is 8. So this would be the Fahrenheit temperature. So above 96.8, it will be assumed to be a warmer than average. So when the temperature, the Fahrenheit temperature, is above 96.8, then it is assumed to be above the average, be warmer than the average temperature. All right, number 20. The cost for hiring a certain tax lawyer is $100 per hour. So it costs $100 per hour. Plus $2 per form. $2 per form needed. If your budget for the tax lawyer is $350 and you need 21 forms, how many hours will allow you to stay within budget? So $100, let's assume the number of hours needed is X. So 100 times X plus $2 per form. How many forms we have? 21. And I have a budget of $350, therefore I cannot exceed $350. So that would be my inequality. So I have $100 times X. X is the number of hours, which I don't know how many hours I can use the lawyer, but every hour I use a lawyer, I'm going to pay $100. And I'm going to pay also $2 per form. I already know I have 21 forms, so I'm going to pay 2 times 21, which is $42 plus 100x where X is the number of hours using a lawyer. Now all this money spent must be less than or equal to 350. That way I don't exceed my budget. Let's solve for X. Subtract 42 from both sides. That means 100X is less than or equal 350 minus 42 is 308. Therefore now I need just to divide both sides by 100. Remember, when I divide by a positive number, I don't flip the symbol. I only flip the symbol when I divide by a negative number. So the final answer would be X less than or equal to 3.08 or X less than or equal to 3 hours. So I cannot use the lawyer more than 3 hours, okay? Otherwise I will exceed my budget.